it's not safe to trust him. Right? Now, if you find somebody else who seems to treat you well and reassures you and flatters you, then it may jump to the conclusion you can completely trust him. Now, the mind is now looking for thoughts that will give it good feelings, you see, because the feelings of the memory are so disturbing to the whole system that the mind, its first function is to make the mind feel better rather than find out what is the fact.
Okay, so we're saying that at this point the mind isn't interested in what's true, it's interested in getting secure.
Yeah, it's so disturbed that it wants to come to order first, you see, and it's adopting a wrong way as I see it.
The wrong way being?
To think about it and try to find thoughts that will make it feel better.
So you're saying the thoughts themselves are taking the, in some sense, taking the place of reality, that it's trying to get thoughts. The person is trying to get certain thoughts in his head that make him feel better.
Yeah. And that's self-deception, you see.
But what makes you think that the primary drive is for security?
Oh, we discussed that yesterday, of course, but, well, I wouldn't be sure that's the only primary drive, but it's obviously, for the animal, it's a very important drive to want security. Right? We also want pleasure. I think that's another drive, which are closely related.
But to come back to this question of security, in its limited forms, security is clearly one goal that we have. I mean, people like to have houses and have them secure, and cars and possessions and bank balances and that kind of thing. But there's this factor that comes in when you've got that. There are two things that come in. One is maybe the fear that you lose it, but the other is boredom with the whole thing and the craving for excitement and thrill. And this doesn't seem to fit within this model of this primary and central craving for security.
Well, that's why I said it's only one of the drives, right? That there's also the drive toward pleasure, as an example, and much of what you said is included in the drive toward pleasure, right?
Well, I'm not so sure.
Excitement is pleasurable. I mean, people hope for pleasure and excitement rather than pain, as a rule.
But don't you think there's a pleasure in itself in curiosity, and there's a sense of freedom and discovery that you can get from certain kinds of exploration, which is neither just straightforward pleasure, it's not a repetitive kind of pleasure, nor is it security.
Yes, well, I didn't want to say that all our drives are caught in this thing. You see, I said that if you think about them and base them on memory, then they're going to get caught in this problem. Now, there may be a natural, free interest in things, which could be enjoyable, and that need not be a problem, right? But if you were to become dependent on it and think about it and say, if I don't have it, I become very unhappy, then it would be a similar problem.
But could we go into the question, what is security? What does that word convey? Apart from physical security.
I would have said invulnerability.
Not to be hurt.
Not to be hurtable. Not to be able to be hurt.
Not to be able to be hurt and not to hurt. Physically, we are all hurt. So one way or another. Operations, illness, and so on and so on. When you talk about being hurt, or you talk about psychological hurts,
yeah, I'm wondering how it is that when a person comes into my office, his complaint is his psychological hurts. And
how do you deal with it?
I try.
Suppose I come to you, I'm hurt from childhood.
Yeah.
I'm hurt by parents, school, college, university.
Yes.
When I get married, she says something, I'm hurt.
Yes.
So this whole living process seems to be a series of hurts.
It seems to build up a structure of self that is hurt.
Yes.
And a perception of reality that is inflicting hurt.
Now, how do you deal with it?
I try to help you see that that's I try to help you see how you're doing it.
What do you mean, how do you?
Well, for example, if you have built up in you the notion that you're one down, or that you're the victim, then you perceive yourself to be victimized, and you perceive the world to be a victimizer. And I help you realize that that's what you're doing.
But by showing me that, will I get rid of my hurt? My hurts, very deep, unconscious hurts that have make me do all kinds of peculiar actions, neurotic.
Well, if you don't just...
Isolating myself.
Yes. It appears that people get better, that they realize that they are doing it. And in some local area, it seems to help.
No, but aren't you concerned, if I may ask, with not being able to hurt at all?
Yes.
What do you mean by that? Not hurting somebody else or not hurting, but being hurt inside of you?
No, I may hurt others unconsciously, unwillingly, but I wouldn't hurt voluntarily somebody.
Yeah, you really don't intend to hurt anybody.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Well, maybe not, but I don't see the connection between not hurting other people and not being hurt oneself. Or at least I'm sure there must be one, but it's not obvious. And most people's view of the best way not to be hurt would be to be in such a position that you can hurt others so much they'd never dare. And this is the principle of nuclear retaliation. I mean, this is a very common principle.
Yes,
and so it's not obvious that not hurting others is related to not being hurt oneself. In fact, usually it's taken to be the reverse. It's usually assumed that if you're in a position to hurt others very much, you'll be very secure.
Of course, I mean, if you're a king or a sannyasi or one of those people who have built a wall around themselves.
Yes.
Naturally, you could never hurt them.
Yes.
But when they were children, they were hurt.
Yes.
That hurt remains. It may remain superficially or in the deep recesses of one's own mind. Now, how do you, as a psychologist, psychotherapist, help another who is deeply hurt and is unaware of it, and to see if it is possible not to be hurt at all?
I don't address the question about is it possible to not be hurt at all. That doesn't come up.
Why? Wouldn't that be a reasonable question?
Well, it seems to be what we're asking here. It is the essence of the question that we're asking. We ask it in terms of particulars only in therapy. And you're asking it more generally. Is it possible to end this hurt, period? Not just a particular hurt that I happen to have.
So how should we proceed?
Well, it would seem that the structure that makes hurt possible is what we have to get at. What makes hurt possible in the first place, not this hurt or that hurt.
Well, I think that's fairly simple. Why am I hurt? Because you say something to me which is not pleasant.
Well, why should that hurt you?
Because I have an image about myself as being a great man. You come along and tell me don't be an ass, and I get hurt.
What is it that's being hurt there?
There, the image which I have about myself. I'm a great cook, a great scientist, a great carpenter, whatever you will. I've got that picture in myself, and you come along and put a pin into it. And that gets hurt. The image gets hurt. The image is me.
Well, I feel that will not be terribly clear to many people. I mean, how can I be an image? You see, many people will ask, you see, how can an image get hurt? Because if an image is nothing at all, why does it hurt?
Because I've invested in that image a lot of feeling.
Yes.
A lot of ideas, emotions, reactions. All that is me. That's my image.
It doesn't look like